This is the second of our World War II veterans that we're going to visit with today. And we're visiting with Harold Moody. And so we're just going to take it easy here. And I've got a few questions I want to ask you, Harold. Feel free to elaborate or anything that you want to say. Where were you living when you entered the military service?
Quincy, Illinois.
You lived in Quincy.
Yeah.
And did you have relatives around here at that time, or?
Well, I was married and had a son who was, I guess, 3 years old.
All right. Do you remember approximately the date that you went into the service?
I sworn into the Marine Corps November the 10th, a birthday in Chicago.
Okay, November the 10th. What year was that?
1943.
1943 in Chicago, Illinois.
Right, Great Lakes.
Where did you go from the Great Lakes?
I went to the island of Maui. Well, I went to Pendleton, down to California for training boot camp.
You took boot camp there.
Yeah, and then from there, we left there fairly early. Wasn't there very long. Then we went to the island of Maui.
All right. That's part of the Hawaiian Islands. Did you take any further training there? Or?
We didn't went there that long. I don't think we were there too long when we combat loaded it. We only had one tank which wasn't ready to go. We had to clean it. And the captain called me in and said, I see where you were the Caterpillar driver for the state highway. He said, you're my driver. He was a company commander, a boy by the name of Handyside, Captain Handyside. And just as we hit the beach, he got killed on Saipan.
All right. Was Saipan your first?
It was the first. And then Tinian, and then Iwo Jima. I was in all three.
So you were Saipan, Tinian, and Iwo Jima.
All three.
All three of those. So you were in some of the big ones.
They were pretty warm. I lost 2 men on Saipan. I lost the captain as the driver. And then we had a boy by the name of Scavetti from New York. That was a maintenance crew man, but he took the place of he wanted to go in on the operation, so he took the place. And when he jumped out of the tank, we had abandoned and burned down a clutch. He got hit, so they took him to first aid station, and later learned that a bomb come in and killed 26 in that first aid station. So I never reported that one.
All right. I'd like to back up just a little bit. When you were in boot camp, that's always kind of an interesting thing for a person that's just going in the military service, go through that training. Do you have any special thoughts of going through boot camp?
No, the only thing was I disappointed myself. 3 days before it closed, the DI said to me, said, you're shooting experts, you can take time off. So we went back to shoot again in a couple of days, and I didn't even qualify. It was windy, too much windy. And they were going to call us again, but like I say, we left too early.
All right. Any particularly buddies or anything that you made at that time?
Yeah, there was quite a few of them. I was very much with a boy who, I don't know the name, Rainey and Idle, Jim Idle. And later we were pretty good buddies, and we both made it through all right. And I got a chance to go to work for a company out in California. Lucille didn't want to go to California. So I called Idle, he lived there, and he took that job, and I went to Greensburg in the end.
All right. I was in the Air Force, so I was never in a unit as such. I was always just an individual going places. But now, when you went through boot camp, you were a part of a certain unit, weren't you?
Yeah, in a company.
And that company pretty much stayed together.
It did, yeah.
All right. Let's try to get here before we get back to some of those areas you were in the Pacific. Were you a part of an armored division?
Yeah, second armored, it was an amphib water, run in the water.
All right.
In fact, we led the first wave of entry that was in the Amtrak loading to the beach. Then we were supposed to leave them. But we could travel on land just the same, and the boys just get under our tractor. Have to kind of go in and protect them.
Okay. Certain questions, you know, that in the first one, let me try to. I'm having as much trouble as anybody here trying to remember, but your first action was in Saipan.
Right.
Anything that you particularly remember about that first assault?
Well, losing 2 men wasn't too good. Of course, I was particularly sorry on the captain. He was a tremendous fellow. He was an ex-commercial pilot, but his father was dead. He had a mother and sister, and he couldn't go back for flight training on account of he needed the money to support them. And he went on the canal.
Okay. What was there any much difference in the landings between Saipan and say
In the end,
Tinian?
yeah, there was quite a bit. The Tinian to me was the easiest one I was on. I went in on the big ship with Alan Mad Dog Smith. But see, we were on these that we unloaded these tractors, tanks, unloaded them out of the back, and then the infantry come out too. But that one, we made a false landing. Or the Marine Corps 4th and 2nd Division made a false landing up on the other side. And all of those Marine or NIPs, they made a run up over the ridge to get to that landing, and the Air Force come in and they really took care of it.
Okay. Now, I suppose the biggest landing would have been Ewo, was it?
Well, Ewo was bad, and that Saipan to me was a bad one too. We got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and loaded, and then if I remember, we lost one maintenance tank when they come off the ramp. It was loaded too heavy. But the waves were high, and it was hard getting out of the LST there to get down into the water outside of that, and then the firing was really heavy, real heavy.
They always say that once you get into those battles, and I can't speak from any experience, but you're scared, but you don't really have time to be.
You think about everybody else, see, in there, just like playing football. You remember when you got the kickoff, and you started the game, then you just fell in with the bunch. That's the way we were. Of course, we worried about our men that we had. Later, I became a tank commander and was in charge of 7. And outside of that, I worried more about them. You don't think you're going to hit it yourself, or I didn't. I'll put it that way.
Where were you at the time the war was over?
Where was it?
Yes.
I was on the island of Maui. We were back to rest camp.
Okay, you'd already gotten back.
Yeah, and when Harry dropped the bomb, we got it out of there pretty fast and come home. We just got to come out of there March something in 45.
All right. Where did you get? Where did you get released from the service?
Great Lakes.
Great Lakes, all the way back to the Midwest.
Yeah, December the 5th, 1945.
December the 5th. Okay. Then did you go back to Quincy at that time, or?
Yes. When of course, out of Pendleton. We were there at Pendleton, they loaded us and sent us back to Great Lakes. And then from Great Lakes, they just paid their way back home. They paid my way back to Mexico.
You and I are both members of the American Legion,
Right.
and I've been friends with you for quite a few years.
There it is.
And is there any last comments that you'd like to make? Think of anything that you'd like to
Well,
touch on?
In fact, I was with the 2nd Armored Amphib through my fighting days, or those 2 years. And I wasn't with any other outfit, but there couldn't have been an outfit that had better men and better officers than the 2nd Army did. They were top people. We never had a minute's trouble in the whole darn deal.
You really get close to your units, don't you?
Right.
I think that's a common thing of all people that in the military.
Well,
They always sort of feel for each other.
the other thing, and you could probably remember sitting around talking about the reunion you was going to have after the war was over to see your old buddies. And that was pretty common with us, and we had one every 2 years. And I just got a letter from one. They had listed probably the 3 of the youngest men that was in our group in the D Company that passed away in '99.
Yeah. Well, Harold, I want to thank you for taking time to come down today. And when we get up here, she's going to have a form for you. And she'll come back and we'd kind of like to get your picture on that form and just sit down and get what information you can. Just some basic things, you know, some of the things like you said, where you took boot and this and that, and the comments. It'll have some like questions on it, which will help stir your memory on some of the things maybe that you.
Well, I have to check it in the book there.
Okay.
The only thing, my ribbons are not, the Marine Corps only give you, like this Mariana Islands, we only got 1 star for on our ribbon. But later I got a letter that they approved 2 stars for the operation on Saipan and Tien Yan. And then, of course, we won the President's Citation with the 2nd and 4th Marines on Saipan, and same on Iwo Jima, twice. Yes,
Well, I think our tape's going to cut off shortly, and I want to thank you for coming down.